Are these the easiest napkins to make? Totally. But I have a few tips. I'm making these because I want to reduce the amount of paper napkins and tissues that I use, so I look for some linen scraps in my fabric stash. Linen is a classic for napkins. It's strong, it can handle lots of washing, and it will soften over time. Linen is an almost naturally organic option since the flax plant hardly needs fertilizer, watering or pesticides. It has a beautiful rustic look, and the frayed edge will prevent the fabric from unraveling even further, especially after washing it. The first few times there might be a couple of threads, but you can always wash them in a wash bag. What fabric can you use for napkins? I like linen, but cotton works too. I prefer natural fibers because they're absorbent and biodegradable. You can repurpose old garments or bedding. If you don't have anything lying around, you can look for laundered linen. This has already been washed and tumbled by the mill to soften it. For most projects, it's best to wash the fabric like you want to wash the finished project, especially with natural fibers, because 5% shrinkage or more is actually quite common. Now, I know you're not going to wear a pair of napkins, but you also want to wash out any starch or chemical sizing that's left in the fabric from the production process or dirt that it's accumulated during shipping and handling. I have this scrap piece from my stash, which was already washed. I just gave it a quick press, and then the next step is to straighten the edges. And your fabric is straight when you can pull a continuous thread along the edge. This side was rather uneven, and to fix it I pulled out a few threads so I could cut along the grain of the fabric, which simply means that I'm following the threads in the fabric or that I'm cutting parallel to them. After roughly straightening the edges, I folded the fabric in half and pressed a crease into the center with my hands. Then I picked out a few threads with a pin and pulled them out of the fabric. The threads did break, but I just picked them up again, and after the first two, it's a lot easier and it created a clear gap that I could follow with my scissors. Now you might wonder why I'm not using something like a rotary cutter. Well, because they are fast and they make a beautifully straight cut. However, it's impossible to cut on the grain of the fabric. So you're going to lose some fabric, and because I'm only making 2 napkins, I'd rather be a little bit more precise. If I were to make 20 napkins, it would be a different story. Then I would definitely use a rotary cutter, or what I would do is try and see if I could rip the fabric. There's many fabrics like calico, quilting cotton, and also linens, you can rip them, and that's super fast and you will always be on grain. However, with this fabric it didn't work. After cutting the piece in half, I worked my way around the napkin, pulling threads until I had a fringe of about 1 centimeter or 3/8 of an inch. Most of the time I could easily pull out multiple threads at a time by keeping some space between them. But the longer the frayed edge got, the more often they got stuck. However, it was easy to get them unstuck, and all in all, it was a satisfying process. Now the sides don't have to be perfectly straight, because after washing you won't notice small imperfections, but here the difference was way too big. So I pinned the napkin where the fringe started, and this way I could see the difference and trim off the excess. I was able to fit 2 decent sized napkins out of this piece, measuring about 40 by 40 centimeters, which is 16 by 16 inches, but these weren't perfectly square. If you're wondering what size to make, 45 by 45 centimeters or 18 by 18 inches seems to be a good size for dinner. And 25 by 25 centimeters or 10 by 10 inches is a handy size for everyday use. And I'll keep a few in my backpack for snacking during my commute or a hike. Now, if you'd rather finish the edges with a sewing machine, you can check out this video where I demonstrate the mitered corner, which is perfect for napkins.